All right, so today we're doing a deep dive on, well, Bill Gates.
Bill Gates, yeah.
You think you know him, right?
Yeah.
Like the Microsoft guy.
Right.
But there's so much more to it, and
Oh.
we're going to get into, like, the making of Microsoft, some of the controversies, and then, his kind of turn towards global health, climate change, all that. So,
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating.
yeah, should be interesting. So, I mean, early days, right? This is a guy, Bill Gates, who's writing software when he's in school.
As a kid.
I mean, this isn't just like a little hobby.
Right.
He had a vision, right? And he had Paul Allen, right? His buddy, Paul Allen.
Yeah. And it was really that partnership, I think, that that was so key, because it wasn't just a friendship. It was two minds that kind of like envisioned, where this could go. I mean, one thing that always strikes me about Bill Gates is, beyond being this incredible coder, he was also a strategist.
Okay, so unpack that. What does that mean?
So picture this, right? That the early 80s, IBM needs an operating system for their new personal computer.
Okay.
They go to this company, Microsoft. It's just, Gates and Allen, still pretty small at that point. They need this thing called MS-DOS.
MS-DOS. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is where the genius comes in. They don't sell the software.
Right.
They license it to IBM.
Oh, okay.
And the even more genius part is they get to license it to other manufacturers.
Wow. So they basically created, it's like a software toll booth.
Exactly.
Everyone using IBM computers, which at that time, I mean, that was the thing.
Right. And then it became every PC, basically.
Every PC. They had to go through Microsoft.
That's right. That one strategic move really set the stage for Microsoft's dominance, for decades.
It's crazy how one decision can have this kind of ripple effect.
It's mind-blowing, yeah.
And then it wasn't just MS-DOS, it was Windows.
Right.
It was Microsoft Office. I mean, suddenly they were in everybody's home.
It wasn't just businesses anymore, right?
Yeah.
It was like everyone.
It was everywhere.
Yeah, and, that's where the story takes, I think, another interesting turn. Because with that wealth, that Gates amassed, he decides, I want to do something else with this. He starts the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Which, again, not your typical career path.
Not at all.
From software to, like, world health.
Right, exactly.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty big leap.
Yeah, one of the largest philanthropic organizations in the world.
Wow.
Yeah, tackling some of the world's biggest challenges.
All right, well, let's get into that.
Okay.
That philanthropic turn next time on the deep dive. So we've got Bill Gates, the tech guy, suddenly turns into, like, this global health philanthropist.
Yeah, which is, I mean...
It's not the most obvious transition.
Not the most obvious transition, right?
No.
Like, what's the thinking there? I mean, we all kind of know about the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Right.
Like, it's a thing, right?
It's a pretty big thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's not just, like, donating a little bit here and there.
Right, exactly.
They are a driving force in global health, like, seriously.
Okay.
We're talking eradicating polio.
Oh, wow.
Malaria.
Okay.
Tuberculosis, like these huge, huge diseases.
Yeah, yeah.
They've put billions, literally billions of dollars into research, prevention.
Wow. I mean...
It's incredible.
It's a lot of power, right? To be able to just put billions of dollars towards something.
Double-edged sword, right?
Yeah. It can't all be, like, positive.
Right.
Right? There's got to be some pushback.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, what kind of pushback? What are people saying?
Well, you get into these questions of power dynamics.
Okay.
Because you've got this foundation with immense resources, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're coming in, they're saying, okay, this is what we're going to focus on.
Yeah.
This is how we're going to solve these problems. But are they always the right voices to be making those decisions?
So it's like, who gets to decide what the priorities are, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Like, is it the people with the money, or is it the people who are actually, like, living
it, yeah, exactly.
Experiencing it firsthand.
Yeah, and then there's also the question of, are their methods always the best?
What do you mean?
Well, they're very focused on, like, technological solutions, right?
Okay.
Which, can be amazing, but is it always the right fit?
Right.
Like, maybe sometimes what's needed is, basic infrastructure.
Yeah.
Or, like, local knowledge.
Right.
Not just, like, a fancy new vaccine or whatever.
Yeah. It's more complicated than that.
Way more complicated, yeah.
So global health, huge focus for him, obviously.
Right, definitely.
But he's also, like, gotten into climate change, right?
Yeah.
Which is another, like, massive, massive issue.
Totally.
He wrote that book, How to Avoid a Climate Disaster.
Right, yeah, where he's like, here's the problem, here's what we can do.
Okay, so big problems, big solutions.
Like everything.
But But this is still Bill Gates, right?
Right, yeah. Yeah.
This is the Microsoft guy.
Right.
So you can't get to that level without some, bumps along the way. You were talking about, like, getting to that level of success, there's going to be bumps, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like one of the big ones, at least in the public eye with Bill Gates, was that whole antitrust lawsuit.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the 90s with Microsoft.
Huge deal. Huge deal. I mean, it really kind of shook up the tech world. Really.
Yeah. What was that all about? Like, for people who weren't,
Yeah, so basically, the U.S. government accused Microsoft of being a monopoly.
Okay.
And using its power, its dominance with Windows to, like, squash the competition.
Okay.
Especially when it came to internet browsers.
Oh, right.
So, back then, it was all about Netscape Navigator.
Oh, yeah, Netscape.
And Microsoft had Internet Explorer.
Right.
And their argument was, well, Microsoft's bundling Internet Explorer with Windows.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's already there.
It's the default, right?
It's the default. Exactly. So why would you even bother?
To go download Netscape.
Right, exactly. Even if it was better,
It's like if your phone just came with a certain...
Like, who's going to switch, right?
Right.
It's too much effort.
Right.
So the government's like, that's not fair. You're using your power in Windows
to control the browser market. Yeah. Okay, and so what happened? Like, did they...
Well, it was a whole big thing, right?
Yeah.
They went to court.
Okay.
Lots of legal wrangling.
Did they get broken up? Like, was it like...
They didn't get broken up, no. But they were found guilty of violating antitrust laws.
Right.
And they had to, like, change some of their practices.
Right.
And it really, I think, was kind of a wake-up call, Not just for Microsoft.
Right.
But for the whole tech industry. Like,
hey, the government's watching.
The government's watching. Don't get too big for your britches kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe not all, sunshine and roses, right? even for someone like Bill Gates.
No, listen.
But then you got...
Brilliant guy, right.
Yeah, but also, like, those stories, right, about the Microsoft work environment, like, intense.
Intense is putting it mildly. Like, we're talking, Gates, like, memorizing employees' license plates.
Oh,
so he would know if they were, like, coming in late or leaving early.
Oh, wow.
Like, next level management there.
Yeah.
Demanding,
Yeah.
high expectations.
Yeah.
I mean, some people thrive in that kind of environment.
Yeah, some people, like...
Right.
But...
Yeah, I can see how that would be too much.
Yeah, I think for every person who's like, yeah, that's my jam, there's probably 10 others who are like, get me out of here.
Yeah, that's too intense.
Too much pressure.
Right. So you got that. You got, obviously, like, later on, right?
Yeah.
The personal scandals.
Right, yeah, which,
The infidelity, the allegations with the employees. Right.
Like, that's...
Not great. Not a good look.
Yeah, not a good look.
And it's tough, right? Because you've got this guy who's, like, trying to save the world.
Right.
And then you hear those stories, and you're just like...
It's like, come on, man.
Come on, right? It's like, which one is it,
So how do you even, like, sum up Bill Gates? It's like, he's all over the place.
He's kind of all over the place, right? It's like, on one hand, revolutionized personal computing.
Right.
Like, you can say whatever you want about him, but the guy changed how we use computers.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, that's huge.
Yeah, and
then he's like, okay, now I'm going to tackle global health.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, by the way, climate change, that's my new thing.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, he's been lauded. He's been criticized.
Yeah, he's polarizing, right.
He's very polarizing. I think what we can say is this.
Okay.
The guy's done a lot.
He's done a lot, yeah.
Both good and,
And not so good.
It's not so good. And I don't know, I think it's kind of up to each of us to decide.
Yeah, like how
we ultimately judge that.
Yeah.
Because there's no easy answer.
Yeah.
It's not a simple equation, that's for sure.
No, it's not.
So there you have it.
That's Bill Gates.
That's Bill Gates. More complicated than meets the eye, right?
A lot more than just the Microsoft guy.
Oh, yeah. Way more.
Well, that's our deep dive on Bill Gates.
Quite a deep dive.
Yeah, we covered a lot.
A lot of layers there.
A lot of layers to this guy.
Yeah. And hopefully, for everyone listening, give you something to think about.
Yeah, it makes you think, what is success?
Right. Exactly.
Like, how do we define success? What do we do with our success once we have it?
Right.
Like, all these bigger questions, right?
It's not just about the money.
It's not just about the money. It's about
what you do with it.
What you do with it.
The impact you have.
Yeah, the impact.
For good or for ill.
All right. Well, on that note, thank you for joining us for this deep dive. This was a fascinating one.
It was really interesting.
And until next time, keep exploring.
Keep asking questions.
And we'll see you on the next Deep Dive.